can't move in this shirt or it slides up to my neck. Alright, so today we are going to be talking about 5 eyeshadow palettes that I wish I never bought. I thought this would be a good way to kind of circle back on certain eyeshadow palettes that I've either used in Shadow and Schmooze videos or just used over the years and just tell you my thoughts on them as it stands right now and why I regret buying them in the first place. So if you like this video while you're watching, don't forget to give it a thumbs up so I know. Let me know down below if you want to see other videos like this, like different categories, or also if you want to see my favorite eyeshadow palettes. I might do like a drugstore and a high-end version. If you're new here, you can join the Bayrito family and subscribe. I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. 6 p.m. Pacific time. Ran out of air. Alright, so the first palette I regret buying is one that came out has it been a couple years? I think it has. I did a review on this right when it came out. It's the Urban Decay Naked Smoky palette. And I love the packaging of this. I'm so happy they changed it to the hard packaging instead of the cardboard and everything and felt, because that just gets so messy like the original Naked palette. I just never, and I mean never, find myself wanting to reach for this thing. I love cool tones. The Urban Decay Naked 2 palette is actually one of my most reached for palettes to this day. I get so much use out of it. The mirror fell out. Looking at these two side by side, there are obviously some differences. You get a few more warm tones and kind of golds in the top Naked 2 palette, but if you have the Naked 2 palette, I just don't think you need to get the Naked Smoky palette. It's just one of those that sits in my drawer and I never find myself wanting to grab this. I should just stick it on the shelf for looks because it looks so nice. I have mixed thoughts on the Naked palettes. They were super hyped up for years. I think there are better kind of smoky, cool tone palettes out there, and personally I just wouldn't spend the money on this one again. So this next palette, you can probably guess what it is if you've been online on YouTube watching any videos in the past year, but this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. I have a whole video trying this out. I'll put it in the eye over here and down below as well if you want to go watch that, but I made it work in that video, and like I've said in a Raves and Rejects video that I mentioned this, you can make this work. I just don't want to have to sit down and like pump myself up to try and make an eyeshadow palette work. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to spend around 40 bucks, I think it's 42 bucks. If you're going to spend that much money on an eyeshadow palette, I just feel like it should be easy to work with. You should want to sit down and play with it. It shouldn't be like a chore to use it. I just wish the formula was better on this. I love the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. Like, that is one of my all-time favorite palettes, spoiler alert. This one I just wouldn't recommend. If you like the shades in here, there are tons of blog posts and stuff if you just Google it on dupes for this palette. So if you want a better formula but you like the shades, just get the dupes. So this palette, I feel like a lot of people love. And this is the Tartelette palette. And I had really high hopes for this. I was excited to try it. I actually tried it for the first time in a Shadow and Schmooze video. I'll link that in the eye too, over here. First, let me show you the shadows. So here's what the shadows look like. I love the packaging. Really nice, sturdy packaging. You have really great mirror on here. And it's just visually appealing to look at, I think. Like I said, I love cool tones, and I feel like I have so many warm tones at this palette that I've been on the hunt for a cool tone palette that I love. So when I saw the shades in here, I thought I was gonna love this. So the thing I do not like about this palette is that it gets so freaking muddy when you try to blend it out. When you first put down the color, it looks like it's gonna have really great pigment to it. As soon as you start blending, it disappears. Some of the shades get patchy, and they just all kind of melt together. It's the kind of formula where if you put a dark shade in your outer V and you go to blend it, somehow that color ends up all over your eye, like in places you don't want it. The only way I like using this palette is if I'm literally doing a 2-color everyday kind of look where I just put one into the crease and one on the lid. And for that, I'll go in with Super Mom, which is like the cream shade, which I still feel like could be more opaque. It looks really nice until you blend it out on your eye and I can just see like my freckles and stuff coming through. And then I'll put Force of Nature in the crease. If I go in with any of the dark shades, it just looks so muddy. I actually did use 2 of the palettes on my eyes today that I'm going to be talking about, just so you can kind of see and so I could get a refresher on what I didn't like about them. So I'm wearing this palette and the next palette I'm going to talk about. Most of the matte shades on my eyes right now were from this palette. I just had to work so much harder to get the kind of look that I wanted. Black looks like it's going to be so nice and pigmented as soon as you blend it out, and again it just turns into like a gray. So I wish I liked the formula better because I love the shades in here. Let me know if you guys have tried the Tarte Toasted palette because I'm really tempted to get that, but every time I'm on Sephora I end up just deleting it out of my cart because memories of this flash into my head. By the way, a Tarte palette I do really like like is the Clay Play palette. This was on sale for 20 bucks the other day on their website, and I think Sephora also had it as one of their weekly wow things. I don't have the same issues with this palette as I do with the Tarte lip palette, so I don't know if there's something a little different with the formulas or what, but this one is really nice. So number 4, again, love the packaging on this one, really want to love this one. This is the BH Cosmetics Marble Collection Warm Stone palette. Not gonna lie, I got this mostly for the packaging. So many of you guys messaged me when this came out. I have a slight marble obsession. It's gotten a lot better in the past few months, I have to say. I'm starting to get a little sick of it. For a couple years though, it was intense. Here's what the shades look like on the inside. It bothers me so much when palettes stop like too soon, you know? I thought there was a nice mix of warm and you get a few cool tone shades in there. This palette out of all of them is definitely the most affordable, so I don't super regret buying this just because of the price. BH Cosmetics makes a few of my favorite eyeshadow palettes, but I find some of them to be a little bit hit or miss, and this was one of those for me. And the reason for that is because the matte shades I find to just not be quite as pigmented as I'd like. You have to go back and kind of dip your brush in multiple times to really get color payoff, I find, with most of the matte shades. And then again, the darker shades just seem to kind of blend away. The shade that I do really like in here is this light cream shade right here. It's what's on my inner corner, besides some glitter. I'll tell you guys at the end of the video what's on my face, but I have some glitter on the lower lash line, but on the inner corner is that champagne kind of light shade, which is super pretty. I feel like that shade would look really pretty for bridal makeup. The center of my lid is this kind of taupey gray shimmery shade, which is okay. I tried using it wet and dry and I just didn't get quite the pop that I like. I definitely don't dislike this palette as much as some of the other palettes I'm mentioning. I just don't find myself wanting to really use this. This one is just kind of like a wouldn't recommend that you buy it kind of thing. So this last palette is one that I have had mixed feelings on over the years. I actually mentioned this as a favorite in one of my Raves and Rejects videos 2 years ago. So there was a period where I used this and I liked it. At one point, all I remember hearing about on YouTube was this palette. This is the Kat Von D Shade and Light eyeshadow palette. I don't know, you know those products you have that your opinion changes on them for whatever reason? I don't know if my preference has changed in eyeshadow formulas. I know I do like a bit more of a stiff formula now. Not stiff to where they don't blend out, but just to where when you put them on your eyes and you go to blend, you still have the pigment, but they don't blend away. Every time I've gone to use this in the last year, I feel like I've probably tried to use this about 10 times in the last year. Every time I've tried to use this, I just really don't like how my eyeshadow turns out. I find it to be too blendable and too powdery. Again, it just ends up looking kind of muddy on my eyes, similar to the Tarte one. I would say this is even more powdery than the Tarte one though. These are pretty powdery. I know Makeup Revolution has basically a dupe of this palette, so I want to order that and see if the formula is any better, because I do really like the concept of this and the shades in here. I think it's super versatile. Shade-wise, this would be like the perfect matte palette. Late last night, I was just sitting here watching Blacklist and I had my lights on and I was just playing around with some of these shadows again. And I tried 4 different times to create a look that I liked with this, and every single one was just a no. It's just too muddy for me. I will say this shade right here is actually really nice as a face contour if you have fair skin. That's what the shade looks like blended out. So if you have fair skin and you already own this palette, try using just a dab of the eyeshadow shade and just blend it out really well. You might like it for that purpose. If I could go back in time, I probably would not buy this. So those are my 5 eyeshadow regrets. Let me know what you think of those eyeshadow palettes down below. Just because I don't like them doesn't mean they're horrible, doesn't mean you won't like them. That's the beauty of the world. We are all different. By the way, the makeup on the rest of my face for foundation, I mixed the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation in Porcelain with Josie Maran Vibrancy and RG5, and it looks beautiful. I really like the combo of those two. First time I'm trying that combo. I set it with the Cargo Blu-ray powder in 10, and then my bronzer is Essence Mosaic Compact Powder in Sunkissed Beauty. Blush is actually by H&M. This is their Cantaloupe, I think it's called. Yeah, Cantaloupe Pure Radiance Powder Blush. And then I tried out this new highlight palette by Sigma. This is the Chroma Glow, and I used Peaceful and Bedazzle, these 2 shades right here, and kind of mixed them for a face highlight. Glitter on my eyes is Urban Decay Pyro. It's like a white glitter. Lips is Colourpop Knotty Liquid Lipstick with MUA Baby Doll Gloss. I feel like just swallowed lip powder. My lashes are the Samantha No. 7s by Huda Beauty. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye. Does my thumb look extra long right now? You know when you start thinking about something too hard and then you realize how weird it is? Like, thumbs are weird.